Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, OutKick.com, 6th and Peabody, our location with Yeehaw Beer and Old Smoky Moonshine. Chad, one of our favorite shows that we've seen since, in 2025, any given Saturday. There was a buzz about this at SEC Media Days, and we mentioned recently it's interesting which programs did the show, which programs did not, and who looks good coming out of it, the buzz, the discussion. Coach Lea certainly is in the positive column of all of this with what Vanderbilt and how Vanderbilt came across.
I ranked who came across the best, and I'm not always loved by the Vanderbilt fan base, but I objectively said Clark Lea was the most likable coach of all of them that were featured in the series, and I gave him the number one ranking. So congratulations on that. And, Coach, what was that experience like have you gone back and watched the episodes for yourself, but seeing yourself naturally interact with your team and everyone on screen's got to be quite the experience?
Well, first of all, I appreciate, the ranking. That at least gave me a little street cred at home. I showed my wife and made sure she understood that I'm still a likable guy.
Hey, more street cred.
Number one. He's number one.
You winning the battle of all SEC coaches or the ranking that Chad gave you here?
Probably Chad's ranking, honestly, because
yes.
It's I don't know. Chad seems to know me and sees me for who I am, and I appreciate it.
As a guy who's unlikable, I know likability better than most. So when I rank the likable coaches and put Clark Lea number one, then obviously it's going to mean something. But there's something about, and you can speak to this, Coach. There's something about believability. Right? Like if I watch someone, I'm not going to name names now because I don't want you to have to react to it, but there are certain people I watch and I'm like, yeah, they're faking it a little bit. I don't really believe them. We've talked about this with Diego Pavia. Whether people think it's going to happen or not, I believe that he believes it when he says something. And I felt like we were getting your genuine, authentic self in that show, which I appreciated.
No, so all of it, like, again, to me, where we were when this was getting pitched, we were coming out of a 2-10 season. We'd made a bunch of changes. I've always believed in what we were building here. I've always believed that people that kind of got a peek behind the curtain came away feeling the energy of our program. And so in my mind, it's like, if they're gonna show up and tell our story authentically, if they're gonna allow us to speak for ourselves and really get a pulse on our environment and take time to care about it, then I want to be a part of that, because I think this program needs that kind of exposure. But we don't need it in a way, and again, the only way it becomes something that is counterproductive for us is if somehow they're executing an agenda and telling a story that doesn't exist, and B, most importantly to me, if somehow this becomes us putting on a show. So when you say, Chad, about it being authentic, that to me was the only way we were going to do it. And my team needed to know when those cameras are on that I wasn't performing for the cameras, that I was speaking to the team. And so again, that's the only way it could work, because otherwise I feel like it undermines what is genuine and good about our program and what we've created here. It's based in authenticity. It's we say relatedness is our edge. We're going to care about one another, and it has to be genuine and connection. And it really, honest to God, the guys, what was it like? So we watched the episodes that we were featured in as a team. We did that because, look, I've watched enough, Drive to Survive and whatever else to realize there's stories that take place that kind of steal the narrative, so to speak. And I didn't want, if that was going to happen, I didn't want it to happen in a way where everyone was consuming it in their corners. I wanted to see it together. And I thought that was an important exercise. We did it right at the beginning of camp. And I came out of there and I said to the team immediately as it finished, I was embarrassed, because I know I'm the head coach. And I understand part of my role is to carry the message of the program and to be the voice. But to hear so much from me in that episode, I think doesn't in the episodes we were featured in, doesn't actually give credit to the people that are that are working to make this program what it is and working in the shadows. And we have to continue to be about that level of work, knowing that honestly, I felt like Netflix really did a good job of telling the story the best they could. They were focusing on other teams too, and there's no way that they could have done it perfectly because they weren't here every day. But it was important to me for the team to know that I'm going to do my best in my role, but the strength of our program is in the choices, behaviors, decisions of all the people that work in the shadows to make things happen. And so, on the whole, a positive experience, and yet it's never going to be perfect, and we have to be mature enough to understand that it's still reality TV, and it's never going to get it all the way right. But I respect the way that Netflix went about it, and really appreciate how those guys are pros, and how they went about their business, and the relationships that formed through that really are meaningful to me.
Brief follow-up on that. Like, take out the part where you're embarrassed because the focus was on you. What part would you say, like, I would be thinking, like, man, there's a cringeworthy moment here where I was like, I should have, I came across as an asshole, or whatever.
Didn't mean to come across this way in that moment, or whatever it may be.
Like, just personally, like, when you go home, what are you hearing about? When you're like, I'm going to hear about this from the family. Like, is there a moment where you watched yourself and thought that?
Gosh, I guess the parts that were hardest for me were like, like some of it becomes pretty philosophical when I just start talking about the moment we're in, or the context. And sometimes I feel like that doesn't always kind of capture how I actually feel. Like, I'm an emotional person, and sometimes when I'm when I'm talking big picture, I can get relatively philosophical. But there are also moments where you had a little bit of splicing of sentences, and so
no doubt,
again, inevitably,
that's the show.
That's the show. And I'm not going to sit here and be offended by that. And to be honest with you, to give any energy towards those little things is a waste of time. That was the stuff to me where I was like, oh man, because I want the team to feel like, this is their story. And I said this to the guys. Actually, it took me 24 hours to kind of process through, but it was like, hey, I know that I speak for you guys, and I know I do that imperfectly. And the only thing that I can do is be myself. I'm going to be myself and be true to myself. And in doing that, I know that I'm not always going to capture the totality of our voices, or everyone's perspective, but we can at least say that we come away and, hey, Coach is being who he is, and we understand that isn't totally representative of us, but we also appreciate the fact that it's authentic, and that's what we want to be.
And they trust him.
One specific moment I want to ask about is, and I sent this video to Hutton the moment I saw it, is my favorite part of not just your portion, but the entire series, was your pregame pep talk to Auburn. I even joked to Hutton, I'm like, we should come in and give this talk to the crew as we walk in.
Yes.
I was so fired up. Now, when you overheard the Auburn huddle or the coaches saying that, did this actually happen, or was this a Michael Jordan moment where he would sometimes create the adversity or create something that was said to fire his guys up?
It happened. And again, I typically will not. I get excited and I get emotional, and I do think that was captured by Netflix.
Yes, it was.
And so what I tend to do is I'll kind of like dose out my emotion as the week goes, because we have to be processed first. And by the time we get to game day, I'll make sure they know that their coach is ready to go. And I'll try to set a tone for them, both in terms of reinforcing the message through the week, kind of the plan to win, and how I see the game playing out, but also getting us in that right emotional mindset to go do the things we need to do to win. And it just so happened when we arrived, we were at the stadium 2 hours beforehand, and we were walking around the field, and they huddled up at midfield. This is a long time before the game, but I'm not a totally recognizable face, but I'm standing at the 50-yard line, and I'm in earshot. And whoever was speaking to the group at that point, it certainly wasn't Coach Freeze, but again, shared freely within earshot of the head coach. And to me, there was something about it that I don't typically put focus on the opponent in those moments, because what we need to do is deliver the best version of our program, and not chase the emotions of the game and not chase the opponent in the game, but try to dictate terms. It just felt like, and so I debated with myself whether or not I was going to bring this up, but it just felt like the guys needed to hear that. They needed to know, and they needed to, they needed to act on it, because honest to God, guys, we're just tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Even the Netflix special. I mean, I told the guys this too. It's like, I get it too. Like, hey, we're going to talk about Vanderbilt's past and how Vanderbilt this and make a joke about it. But, that pisses us off. And, yeah, I get pissed. And so at the end of the day, tired of it. And I wanted the team to know that that was the level of respect that was had for them. And there's only one way to earn respect. You go out and play a certain way. And that's why I chose to share it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know that it matters, guys. Like, you say those things and the ball gets put on the tee and kicked in the air, and you got to play the game. And the game is certainly emotional. It's passionate, but it's about execution and focus. That's what wins games. And we were able to carry focus and play good football on that day and secure our 6th win. So, I get the connection to that message, and I think it's relatable. I think people feel that way in general. It's like, we feel that's the chip on the shoulder. That's, hey, we're disrespected. We're going to go earn respect. But the truth is, we played a good game of football that day, and we were able to win.
And you don't have to be a Vandy fan to relate to it.
No,
everyone's been disrespected at some point, and felt that way, and wanted to deliver that speech or say that. That's what's great. And combine it with the fact that you won 17-7 and dominated defensively, it certainly helps.
And sometimes you just need to say it because no one else is saying it. I think you're a top 25 preseason program right now. Shouldn't you be? And I mean, that's the chip on the shoulder I would have, given the fact that Pavia's back, the improvements on defense that you're calling the plays, what you jumped into last year from where you were defensively. Why wouldn't you be right now, given some of the other programs I see in the top 25?
Yeah, as first of all, as like insignificant measures go, I mean, we don't tend to really care about where we sit right now. But to your point, and I want to honor your point, is we do feel that way. Obviously, we feel like we're not owed a ranking, we're not owed that recognition, but we feel like we are a top program, and we're anxious to get going to prove that as the season goes. And I'm at that point right now where, I'm kind of out of this off-season mode where you're thinking through what does it look like in the next 6 months, and you're just kind of moved to, this is day to day for me. I mean, we've got to get our team out of camp here healthy as we can be. We got to shift focus to recovery post-camp, and then we got to get going on Charleston Southern and start playing the best football we can play in game 1. But yeah, the season will play out, and I'm way more interested in where we finish than where we're, what opinions are shaped around us at the start. I do feel like, it's going to take years of success for people to see this program for what it can be. It can't just be one season. So I'm not offended by the fact that not everyone's all the way balled in on it yet. But yeah, those are things that do fuel the fire, and it gives us something to work towards.
Yep. And I mean, again, I think you will be in that ranking. The boost that it gives you preseason is something. Hey, I know you're ready for the season, right? Like the grind is here, and you love it. Thanks for joining us, and we can't wait to kick things off. And hopefully you'll join us, and we can truly preview the first week and the upcoming month as we get things going in the SEC.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. It's always fun to be with you. I like it better when we're able to do it in person. Yeah. But anything you guys need, I'm here. Big fan of what y'all do, and appreciate you guys, and look forward to talking again soon.
Yep, sounds good, man.
Thank
good
you.
To see you.
Appreciate you.
Coach Lea, one of the best right there.
Most likable coach in the SEC.
Yeah, Chad Withrow's rankings.
Based on the Netflix special, I stand by those rankings.
He gave you great props. I mean, you were ahead of which coach would kick the other coach's ass, and he liked your ranking better.
He was number one on that list, too, but I stand by those rankings. He's a guy to play for. I'm watching, I'm thinking, I
agree.
I believe people talk about talking shit or whatever.
Yes.
I believe the shit that he's talking.
Yes.
And that's the number one key is
trust him.
Authenticity, and I believe it when he says it.
6th and Peabody, our location, Yeehaw Beer, Old Smoky Moonshine, Hot Mic, Hutton and Withrow, here at OutKick.com. Chad, we do What's Withrow Watching every week or so.
Yes.
What is Withrow reading currently?
Like the Andrew Luck Book Club.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
we did at one point. We started Chad Withrow Book Club. I am reading Skull Session, Mastering the Mental Game in Sports, Work, and Life by Scott Cochran, a.k.a. Coach Lea. And Hutton, this is important. Why? Because we have the man himself on.
Yes. Coach Cochran joins us, of course, the former strength and conditioning coach at Alabama. 60 Minutes episode I still remember. And now he is at West Alabama. He's the head football coach. Coach, good to have you on the show. Hope things are well.
Yes, man. Thanks for having me on. Fired up to be here, baby.
Hey.
Fired up. About to have practice. We're about to run on the field here in a minute. So I'm juiced to be on, excited to be on.
Where did you get or catch on to the yeah chant?
Man, in high school, I had a player, every time he got a sack or anybody on the defensive line got a sack, he would yell, yeah. And it just became a tagline. And when I got to LSU, I started yelling it, and it hasn't stopped since.
Is this the book that Chad's reading that I will also be reading? Is this a therapy of some sort for you?
Yeah. Basically, in the world of recovery, right, there's steps you need to take in order to get on the other side of addiction, right? And so those steps that I took were the same steps that I was teaching when we did skull sessions at Alabama, at Georgia, because we started doing skull sessions, which is basically character development for the players, starting around 2010 with Coach Saban.
I'm amazed in reading the book that you even write that the first time you actually looked at a scoreboard was in the national championship game against Clemson, and you were down 42-16. And you just knew that you were down, but you didn't know the score. And that, of course, was a game that Clemson went on to win the national title. I'm amazed that that's true and that Coach Saban set a standard so much that people within the organization really aren't scoreboard watching. And I have to ask, now as the head coach at West Alabama, will you be scoreboard watching at all, or are you going to continue that trend?
I'm going to try to continue that trend, because if you just stay in the moment, right? If you just be right where your feet are in a game and you focus on the next play, I just feel like the scoreboard's going to handle itself. I feel like it's going to take care of itself. So I'm going to try not to. I know I got to look at the clock a little bit. At West Alabama, we don't have the CIA stats, but I do have a guy that's going to help me with that, to tell me when to go for two or when to, punt instead of go for it on fourth down. So I will have help with that, but that's the plan.
How did you first meet Coach Saban?
I was working at LSU. When he started at LSU, he hired my high school strength coach, which is Tommy Moffitt.
Okay.
Who's at A&M right now, but he was at LSU for 20 years. And in high school in New Orleans, he was my strength coach. And so I just called him. I was coaching high school ball at the time. And I just called him and I said, hey, I'll scrub your toilets. I will cut your grass. Put me in, coach. Put me in, baby.
When did you know it clicked with him? Was it immediate, or was this a gradual deal where maybe you never even figured out that Saban really liked you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't. I guess when in 2016, when Kirby was trying to get me to go to Georgia with him, I realized, man, maybe Nick actually likes me.
The fact that he was fighting to keep you, that was probably the sign. And you're also referred to as Father Flanagan around Nick Saban and with the Alabama program. How did that nickname come about? And it's amazing. You mentioned Tommy Moffitt, your boss, but that evolution of people understanding in college football that the strength coach is around these guys more than anyone else, more than the head coach, more than their position coach, more than anyone, and then how much more important your role became as Father Flanagan of the Alabama program.
Yeah, whenever a player would have issues, right, off the field issues mainly, we would have a decision to make, right? And I knew because I'd been with him for so long that he's not into kicking guys off the team, right? Like new coaches would be in there and like, man, he's going to destroy the culture of the team and all this stuff. And Coach Saban, because he'd ask, what should we do for punishment for this guy? And then he would just tilt his head back and look at me and say, I know what Father Flanagan's going to say. He's trying to save them all. So that was kind of my running nickname with him as a joke. But, I knew his process, and I knew for being with him, I knew, hey, he wants to keep these guys around. He wants to be that father figure to these guys so that when they make a mistake, you learn from it and we can all move on,
Yep. And I mean, you're saving many others with your story as well, which I want to get to in depth in just a moment. But while we're talking ball, the recruiting aspect of all this, Coach, when it comes to strength and conditioning and the work ethic of players, and I honestly don't know the answer to this question. Are 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, are they more difficult to be motivated now than they were, or is it about the same? Is a 0 star and a 5 star the same approach for you?
I think every player is a little bit different. Some guys you say, hey, don't touch that weight. You're not ready for that. That's what Julio Jones lifted. And then other guys are like, hey, I think you're stronger than him. I think you can lift that weight. So every player is different. I wouldn't categorize them by stars.
Okay.
So to speak.
I mean more like notoriety coming in, they have everything laid out for them. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. They're great athletes. But your approach, I didn't know, maybe it's changed, maybe it hasn't. I'm just curious about today's player.
Yeah, I think there's such good testing now that you can get a baseline on every player and say, okay, where are they weak physically? Where are they weak mentally? And then you just attack the weakness, right? You go after the weakness, you make the strength stronger, but you attack that weakness so that they grow, right? They're 18 to 22 years old, like they're gonna grow, you're gonna see huge gains, in mentally and physically.
Think about the players he's been around: LSU, Bama, Georgia. Is there a player that comes to mind for you that transformed, like they're physically from when you started with them to the end? And who's like the athletic freak? You mentioned Julio. A lot of people mention Julio when talking about Bama from within the program. Is he the answer?
Yeah. Well, listen, he changed the entire culture, right? In 2007, we got there and we're trying to implement this culture. We went 7-6, so we didn't get the result we wanted, but the culture was starting to get built. And then here comes Julio Jones, who that whole class with Mark Ingram, Mark Barron, Dante Hightower, all those guys coming in, and they had to believe without proof that it's going to work. So everybody brings up Julio because he believed in the process before there was proof that would ever work. So that's why everybody shows him so much praise. And obviously, he was one of the strongest pound for pound guys I've been around. But guys that make complete transformations, there's a bunch of those that you just take a lot of pride in. The Minkah Fitzpatricks, the Deron Paynes, the guys, CJ Mosley, who just retired, right?
Yes.
There's so many of them that just did the extra work. And it was so cool to be around it because they bought in. It's easier to coach a guy who believes, hey, what the head coach or what the strength coach is saying is going to help me get to where I'm trying to go.
And Devonta Smith was 147 pounds when you recruited him, and you Alabama only ended up getting him because Georgia stopped recruiting him. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, Georgia stole one of our guys, so it opened up a spot for a wide receiver. And so it's the same thing. I mean, both Smitty and Waddle, Jalen Waddle, was the same exact deal, that somebody stole a recruit that was committed, and we had an open spot for a wide receiver, and they were next on the list. And so, you say 147 pounds. I mean, I think that's giving them a few.
Amazing. So everyone wants to look at Kirby Smart and say, okay, this is the next Nick Saban, or it's a Nick Saban clone, and that's why he's having all of this success. You work directly with both men. What's the biggest difference between Nick Saban and Kirby Smart?
Man, it's hard to see that big of a difference. Kirby obviously has a ton of energy. So I would say energy would be probably the difference, right? But I was with Coach Saban for 18 years, so I got to see him when he was a little younger, and he'd always been the same energy. Whereas Kirby, I feel like everything that comes up, he's got a tremendous like jump on and energized for. But they're both attention to detail. This is the coolest part about working for both of them. I never had to worry about what the offensive coordinator was doing or what the O-line coach was doing. I knew that because of the way that they led, that everyone was going to do their job. So if I just did my job, keep guys healthy, keep them playing at a high level, then we would have the success at the end of the day. So that was the cool part about both of them, their attention to detail for every single coach. And that's why you have great coaches that leave them, because they learn the system. Once you learn that system, you can take it anywhere.
It's Coach Scott Cochran, our guest. Your battle with addiction starts with migraines, I believe.
Yes.
How long were you? Was it Percocet that you were prescribed? Was it? It was a painkiller, right?
Yes. I was prescribed Percocet in 2010.
And I know your. I watched a podcast. You were 14 months sober then. I don't know if that's still if that's that recent.
Yeah, I'm 19. I'm about to be 19 months in a couple of days.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Congrats on this. I love
Thank
the
you.
messaging here.
Yeah.
Did you hide it well, or did people know?
No one had a clue, not even my wife. There's this book called Smacked, and it's about addiction, about a spouse finding out about their husband, and she literally got smacked. Well, when I overdosed in 2020, my wife was complete. Like, she thought I had a stroke. Like, she's jumping on my chest when I needed Narcan, when I needed the EMTs. And then they finally came and we got me back to life. Thank God, every single day, a lot of gratitude. But no one knew, because everybody was so attention to detail on their job, right? The last thing you would think is someone was struggling that was on staff,
Right. Yeah, man. And you mentioned Narcan. Jeffrey Simmons with the Titans he has like a, for lack of a better way to put it, like a dispensary or it's like a Coke machine, drink machine. And he's putting those out through his nonprofit across the state, which is tremendous. I don't know if you've linked up with him at all, but like he's doing some really cool things and trying to fund that. And I know you have your own nonprofit as well.
Yes, I have the AARA, American Addiction Recovery Association. And I started that. This is the cool one. All right.
Yeah.
So September is Recovery Month, and purple is the color of September. So my goal is to make purple cool, just like Susan G. Komen did with me in October. I want to do that in September. So you can go to eliminatethewhisper.org and buy purple gear for your high school, for your college, for the cheerleaders, for volleyball, and you get purple gear. And just to change the conversation, just change the conversation, because people are dying. People are dying from this disease. Look, when they prescribed me Percocet in 2010, they said, "Hey, this is addictive." And I was like, "Come on, man. I'm not that guy under the bridge. I'm a successful, awesome strength coach. There's no way I would get addicted to a pill. A pill? Come on. Like, of all things, a pill, like, it's that big. Like, that's not gonna affect me." And it got its claws on me, and it is a nasty, tough. It ruins families, it ruins lives, and people are dying. And that's why I wrote the book. I wanted people to know that, hey, recovery is not a straight line. Recovery is ups and downs. Because I've had 2 years of sobriety. I was living the sober life for 2 years, won 2 national championships at Georgia sober. But then I slipped again. And that's why I'm at, almost 19 months now. And I beat on my chest for my time. It's earned. I don't think, in the rooms, we talk about the person that has the most sobriety in the room is whoever woke up the earliest that day. I've got more hours awake sober than you. So I take a lot of pride in my time.
You write in the book about sacrifices and investments, right? You wanted to get rid of the word sacrifice because there was a negative connotation, and an investment is more positive. So not eating that extra piece of cake, right? Not smoking weed for certain players. Those are sacrifices, but when you turn it to a positive of investment, Coach, that's different for everybody, right? And you investing in your sobriety every single day, does it give you a new perspective on things that other players you might be dealing with are dealing with that you never have had to deal with before? That is their level of investment?
100%. And they know my story. So they'll come sit in my office and they'll say, Coach, I got to talk to you about something important. And I know right away, okay, he's trying to quit something, whether it's alcohol, whether it's the internet, whether it's porn, whether it's pills, whether it's smoking, it's something. And they're finally raising their hand saying, I need help. And that's the first step, right? Right. And if you want to get better at anything, number one, you have to find out, what am I missing? Right? What is that thing that's preventing me from being successful? Find out what that is. And then the second phase is, am I willing to do something to invest my time to fix that problem? So first, realize you have a problem. Then, am I really willing to take a step and get better? And then in the book, I give you the steps. I give you the steps if you're in recovery. I give you the steps if you're just trying to take your organization to another level, right? I just want to, we're hit a wall. And now how do I get to the level I want to get to? And it gives you the steps. And they're not rocket science, but they're tried and true. I've got 8 national championships. I know that they work. I've got 19 months of sobriety. I know that it works. And so giving that out, it was tough to pour that stuff out because I was like, man, I don't know if people want to hear this. I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to save some lives and I'm going to help people achieve dreams that I get to see every single day.
We are 16 days away from kickoff for West Alabama.
Yes, we are.
Against Fort Valley State. Neutral site. Where are you guys playing?
We're playing Legion Field in Birmingham.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Love it.
Sweet.
I've watched a Tennessee-Alabama game back in the mid-'90s at Legion Field, so a historic venue. And best of luck on your season.
Yeah,
Coach.
absolutely.
Yeah, and great job with all of this in the book.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Go Tigers.
And you could get this, go Tigers, and you could get the Skull Session on Amazon.
Yep.
Right?
Amazon. You can get it on Audible. You can get it at Books A Million. Go ahead and pick it up. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry, baby.
Hey, man, let's make sure this isn't the last time we have you on the show. It was a great convo.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
There he is.
Thank you.
Scott Cochran's been our guest. Chad, great conversation there. You can tell why he connects with athletes, young men. He's a leader. You could get behind him.
Right, and for someone who suffers with addiction, it's a great tutorial on all of that, and that's definitely included in the book. I think for anyone who's in charge of any organization, no matter how big or small, there's a lot of helpful guideposts in it, and a lot of info about Nick Saban in this book that not many people would realize. One thing that jumped out to me, Hutton, was Nick Saban, every day they had a 7:30 a.m. staff meeting, and he you know how delicate he is with his time, and it's all allotted.
Yes.
That he would walk in the building every day on his phone, and that everybody in the building thought, well, he's just being a jerk that doesn't want to talk to anybody or say hi. That's why he's always on his phone. Wasn't the case. He was on with a motivational coach or psychiatrist every single day, working on what the message was going to be to his staff and his team. So he was trying out his message. They were helping him fine-tune it.
He was workshopping.
He would go into the staff meeting. He would deliver the message to the team for that week, whatever game they were playing, whatever they were doing, work it out with the staff. And by the third day, he had perfected the message so that everybody talks about how the Alabama players are kind of robots to the media.
It was a culture.
But that it was so ingrained and there weren't a waste of words or anything, that message was boom, boom, boom. This is the week we're doing this. And he worked that out. So Nick Saban had a coach. Also, that's how smart he was he was bouncing ideas off of other people every single day on the way to the staff meeting, and then he would talk through it with his staff. So everyone was on the same page. Everyone was using the same language. Everyone was on message and on point.
He's establishing his culture and identity weekly.
Every single week.
Yeah.
And he's doing that with someone every single day. He's working through it on his walk into the facility.